So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you moving forward now. This, because of the turbo failure, I didn't want to buy another turbo. That's not very practical. So what we're going to do is we start swapping that LS3 into this vehicle. So the engine's already out. There's a whole bunch of videos on how to do that, so I'm not going to, we didn't film that. But one of the important things to start with is going to be, we have these plates. We use the Sikky kit to try and do our install with our LS. And basically inside, between this, on the subframe, there's these plates that need to be installed. One on each side, you can actually see a little bit there. And then on the back, there's another plate that goes there and on the other side. So both on the sides and underneath here, there's plates to be installed there. We'll lift the car and show you what it looks like from underneath. Not very different. But the other thing is the steering rack. The steering rack has to move towards the right so that the header can actually fit in this hole. This is why the steering rack moves. One of the most difficult things if you don't have the right tools is to remove the bushings. So if you go over here, Don will show us how he devised a way to remove this bushing so it's a lot easier.
So in the steering rack, there are two bushings, and they're replaced with, the Sikky kit replaces it with aluminum offset bushings, essentially. So the originals, you know, they have the full rubber on both sides here. Very difficult to move, you know, back and forth. So what we had to do is to cut one side out, right, to remove this. And then what you need to do is you need to press it out of the steering rack. So what I used is a spring compressor. It's got, you know, a sort of a nice long screw essentially that you can then use to compress and put, you know, a long socket into on this side, and then a large socket on the other side to actually allow the bushing to come through. What you do is you compress this, and it's easy enough to just put a ratchet on this end and just, you know, screw that together, and the bushing comes out. It might be initially a little difficult because it, you know, first movement, but once it's kind of unstuck, and basically it moves over really nicely. So anything that you can do similarly, you know, if you had a long enough screw essentially that you could put through essentially, you know, both of these pieces, you know, might work as well. There's probably other ways of doing it. It's just that in our workspace, this is the stuff that we had available to do that with.
Yeah, so now we're going to show you underneath the car what it looks like.